It has been a while, but today we're back inside the fish room. And let me get out of bed because I have a very important update regarding my aquariums to make to you guys. Now, if you are a regular viewer of the channel, you may have noticed something is different with the 40-gallon shallow reef tank. A lot of corals are missing, and let me explain you why this is. A few weeks ago I woke up and I noticed my mushroom corals over here were all closed up and the insides of the coral were sticking out. Now none of the other corals or fish were showing any signs of stress, so I was really confused as to why only the mushroom corals were affected by this. I tested my water parameters, I tested calcium, magnesium, alkalinity, nitrates, phosphates, salinity, and temperature of course, and everything was in check. There were no signs that something was wrong with the water. But just to be sure, I added a bag of activated carbon, which is used to neutralize any pollutants or toxins that may be present inside the water, and I also did a big water change just to make sure. And a few days later, the mushroom corals were starting to heal up, and I just figured it was nature. Nature can be really weird, so I really didn't think much of it. Now, as you know, this aquarium is about 3.5 years old, and there are a lot of corals in here, and normally that wouldn't be a problem, but in a tank this small, like it's just 40 gallons, it may look massive, but in reality, it isn't that big. But corals need space as they grow, and if there isn't any space, they start to kill other corals that are around them. A very good example of that is this small coral right in between here and there. That one is the exact same coral as this one over here in the soft coral tank. Now, why is it so small and why does it look like that? Well, it's because the other corals around it started irritating it with their sweeping tentacles, which you can see over here. And basically, the coral just died off over the course of a few weeks. Now, this has been happening all over the reef, and the longer it's been going on, the more problems I'm facing with it. Corals are starting to die off, and some corals really just look bad because there are big pieces of dead coral skeleton on them. And when a coral dies, it releases toxins and ammonia, and that can lead to some big problems in the tank. I've been meaning to do something about this problem for a few months now, but I've been postponing it every time because that is a very big project to take on. I would have to take out these palitoas over here because they are invasive. They are growing all over the reef and I can't touch them with my bare hands because they contain palitoxin that could hospitalize me. I can't even speak properly. Maybe I already have palitoxin poisoning. Who knows? But that's one of the corals I had to take out. Also, these encrusting corals that are growing onto the rock, I would have to take out because if I don't take all of it out, it would just come back and create more problems along the way. Well, I didn't even have time to plan a date to do this because just a few days after this started healing up, it happened again. But this time, not only the mushroom corals over here were closing up, also the Montipora over there, the green one, and a big red Montipora plate that I had over here were starting to bleach a little bit. And that was making me think that something was really wrong with the tank. Now still, the leather corals were still open, the polyps were out, and the Acropora was still doing okay. So again, I was confused, but I figured it had something to do with either bacterial problems or maybe it was coral warfare again. So I just got so frustrated and I started yanking out all the corals that I no longer wanted. I took out the Montipora plate. There was a Acropora over here, some hammer corals, and another Montipora over there, a branching one, and just a lot of other corals that I just yanked out because they were already dying and I just threw them away. But not all of them, because I put a lot of them in my frag tank. That's the hammer coral, and let's see, what else did I take from the big tank? The Lobophilia over here, because it was really roughed up, it was really damaged by something, probably the toxins, but I don't know. The Pectinias over there in the Frag rack that was also on the back over there. I lost some corals of it. And a few hours later, the tank was looking okay. It was really damaged because I really yanked out a lot of it and it looked completely different, but the corals were okay. They weren't showing me that many signs of stress. So I did another water change and I added a new bag of carbon to filter out any toxins that were released by me taking out the corals, and I really hoped for the best. The next morning I woke up and something terrible had happened. More corals were starting to die off and the Bugatti chalices, I have two of them, were completely dying off. Skeleton was showing and it really didn't look good. I was like 99% sure that I would have lost that one. I'll add a picture to the screen right now of what it looked like. Now that's when I really considered just taking down all my tanks. I was so fed up with it, a little bit burned out with the aquariums, and I took out even more corals, the ones that are in there now, and I brought these chalices to the local fish store in the hopes of saving it. And well, a week later, they're all looking great. Even the one that I thought would die came back to life. I posted this story on my community tab and the reactions I got from you guys really motivated me to keep these tanks running. It really inspired me and I'm so happy to take on these new challenges. I took some time off and thought about things, and there are a few options on the table right now, as you should say. One of them is tearing down these 3 tanks and putting one massive 3-meter long shallow reef tank on the wall over there. That's one of the options that I thought about, and then I would start out with mangroves and some macroalgae on one side and slowly work my way to different parts of the reef, like you'd see in nature. That really seems like a very cool idea, but I'd like to know your thoughts on that. The other option is to completely tear down this tank because the issue still isn't gone. The pelitoas are still in here, the encrusting corals are still in here. So if I rebuild this reef and add these frags back into this tank, I will start running into the same problems again in a few weeks or months. So I could take it down completely and start a new series that I did before with this build. And then we can take the things that we learned from this build to the next build and make sure we improve on things. So yeah, I have a few ideas, but I'd also like to hear your thoughts. So in the comments, let me know what you think I should do and what you would like to see on this channel, and we'll make it happen for sure. Now for the 20-gallon frag tank next to it, the corals inside are doing really well. I've been saving up a few zoanthids over here, as well as a few very cool mushrooms, and of course, this stupid frag holder keeps falling off the glass. I have my bounce mushroom over there, some jawbreaker mushrooms, some normal, very cheap ones, and a few others. And I'm getting more for sure, but first we have to set up the 6-gallon Reef Casa tank. I got some rocks for it, and I'm considering using black sand for this build because I think that the colors of these zoanthids and mushrooms will really stick out with the black background and the black sand on these dark rocks. Let me know what you think, if I should use white sand like the other tanks or go for something different and try out black sand. So that's something that's coming later this month because, well, when I was thinking about just getting rid of these tanks, I also saw a very good deal of corals, and of course, I couldn't resist it. It really is like an addiction. Corals are an addiction, aquariums are an addiction, and you have a love-hate relationship with them. So, I ordered a few more zoanthids, and they should arrive from Portugal next week, and I'm so excited about this. Now, while I was working with the corals, I also got the opportunity to create some frags. I took off the damaged or dead parts of the calistreas and I put them all on a big frag disc, and I used 2-part epoxy to put them on there, and I think it looks great. I have 3 varieties of them. As you can see here, And one of these, I believe it was that one over there on the back, has been with me for a very long time. It was actually in the, I believe it was a 15-gallon blue marine aquarium that I had over here like 2 or 3 years ago. And it's still with me today. It's a bit smaller. Some heads were lost, but well, we are left with two very nice looking heads, and maybe there's already a third one coming in between it. Now that's the Euphilia that I took out from the 40 gallon. It used to be the clownfish's home, but now they have to settle for something else. I think they really like the Duncan coral that used to be over here. Unfortunately, I knocked it off the rock when I was taking apart the reef. But that one is doing really well. And I'm so glad that one didn't die, because really that has been the first coral that I added to this aquarium. It started out with, I think it was like 3 heads or something. And let me just take it out for a second so you can really see. Look at all these branches. Look how many heads there are right now. And really, if you look back at the old videos, you'll see I started with like 3 or 4 heads maybe. Very small piece, and it has grown so big over the years. Like, things like that really motivate me to keep going with this hobby or with these tanks. I could also just go and film other people's cool aquariums and fun fish stores, but to be honest, I kinda like it. Sometimes I don't, but most of the times I do like it. Like, the soft coral aquarium over here is just so super simple. I'm not doing anything for it really. I don't have a dosing pump on there. I do have dosing pumps for these two tanks because some of these corals have a skeleton in them and they need calcium and magnesium to grow. Soft corals, on the other hand, don't. They are the easiest corals you can keep, and to be honest, it's very hard to kill them. You can pretty much do anything to the tank and they will still be fine. Now, as you can see, I also have a ton of macroalgae in here. It's really growing out of control, but I like it. I think it looks very natural, and well, I am running into a bit of a problem because it's blocking some flow, and as you can see, some algae is starting to form on the sand. Now, these are very hungry clownfish. We should feed them. They're looking at me like, feed me. So we'll do it. They love this food. It's Vitalis, mostly. Just a mix of different types of food. Pellets and flake foods. And they just love it. As you can see, I also added some fungus to this tank, because when this tank was crashing, I just took out different corals and added them to this tank, to the Frag tank. I brought them to the fish store in hopes of saving as many as I could while I figured out what was going on over here. But yeah, as you can see, the frags in the 20-gallon reef tank are doing well. Right now the 40-gallon is looking okay, but I have to take it down because maybe it looks cool now, but in a few months we will run into the same problems again. So let me know what you think. Should I tear down these 3 tanks and replace it for a very big 3-meter long shallow reef tank that would stretch from there all the way to there? And then I could get a similar system for these 2 lamps, and I have 2 over there and 2 over there, and it would be great. It would look really awesome, but I'm not sure. Today I also visited a very, very cool fish store with some very rare corals, and man, I can't wait to show you. So be sure you subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.